The old laptop had been sitting on the corner of Aamir's desk for months, gathering dust like a forgotten memory. He had promised himself many times that he would clear it out, perhaps donate it or throw it away. But every time he reached for it, something held him back. It was the last possession of his younger sister, Hira, who had passed away 2 years earlier in a sudden accident. Letting go of it felt like letting go of her. One quiet evening, as rain tapped gently against the window, Aamir found himself alone in the small apartment they once shared. The silence was heavy, filled with echoes of laughter that no longer existed. He brewed a cup of tea and sat down at the desk, staring at the laptop. With trembling fingers, he pressed the power button. To his surprise, it flickered to life. The desktop background was a photograph of the two of them standing by a river, their smiles wide and carefree. Aamir felt a tightness in his chest. He whispered her name softly as if she might hear him. As he began sorting through her files, he stumbled upon a document titled, "For Aamir." His heart raced, but when he tried to open it, it was password protected. After several failed attempts, he gave up, feeling both frustrated and strangely comforted by the discovery. While exploring further, he noticed a browser bookmark that caught his attention. It was a YouTube link, saved with the title, "Watch When You Feel Lost." Curious and slightly apprehensive, Aamir clicked on it. The video opened to a simple thumbnail showing a sunset over a quiet sea. As it began to play, he leaned closer to the screen. At first, there was only silence and the sound of gentle waves. Then a familiar voice filled the room. It was Hira. "Assalamu alaikum, Aamir," she said softly, her smile warm and reassuring. Aamir froze, his breath caught in his throat. Tears welled up in his eyes as he stared at the screen, unable to believe what he was seeing. "If you're watching this, it means I'm probably not around anymore," she continued. "I know you'll be angry at me for saying that, but I've always believed in preparing for the unexpected." Aamir felt his hands begin to shake. He reached out instinctively, as though he could touch her through the screen. The room seemed to shrink around him, leaving only her voice and his racing heartbeat. Hira spoke about their childhood, recalling the nights they spent on the rooftop counting stars, the arguments over trivial things, and the way Aamir had always protected her. She thanked him for being not just a brother, but also a friend and a guiding light in her life. Her words were filled with love, but also with a gentle sadness that Aamir had never noticed before. "I know you blame yourself for what happened," she said, her tone soft but firm. "But you shouldn't. Life is not something we can control. What matters is how we choose to live it." Aamir's mind flashed back to the day of the accident. He had been the one driving. A moment of distraction, a sudden turn, and everything had changed forever. Though the authorities had ruled it an unfortunate incident, Aamir had carried the burden of guilt ever since, convinced that he was responsible for her death. Hira's message continued, as if she could sense his thoughts. "Promise me you won't spend your life trapped in regret. You deserve happiness, Aamir. You deserve to laugh again, to dream again, and to love again." As the video progressed, she revealed that she had been secretly volunteering at a local orphanage. She expressed her wish for Aamir to visit the children and continue the work she had started. "They taught me that even the smallest act of kindness can change a life," she said. "If you ever feel lost, go there. You'll find a part of me in their smiles." The video ended with Hira standing against the backdrop of a glowing sunset. "No matter where I am, I'll always be with you," she whispered. "Just look for me in the little moments of joy." The screen faded to black, leaving Aamir in a silence that felt both heavy and sacred. Tears streamed down his face. But for the first time in years, they carried a sense of release rather than despair. He replayed the video again and again, memorizing every word, every expression, every pause. The next morning, driven by a newfound determination, Aamir searched through Hira's belongings until he found an address. Scribbled in her handwriting, it led him to a modest orphanage on the outskirts of the city. As he approached the building, his heart pounded with a mixture of anxiety and anticipation. Inside, the air was filled with the sound of children laughing. A caretaker greeted him warmly, her eyes lighting up when he mentioned Hira's name. She was an angel, the woman said. The children adored her. Aamir spent the day listening to stories about his sister that he had never known. He learned how she had helped a shy boy find his confidence, how she had organized small celebrations for the children, and how she had inspired hope in a place that desperately needed it. Each story felt like a piece of a puzzle, revealing a side of Hira that deepened his admiration and love for her. One little girl, no older than 6, approached him shyly. "Are you Hira Appa's brother?" she asked. When he nodded, she handed him a folded piece of paper. Inside was a simple drawing of a family holding hands under a bright sun. At the top, in uneven handwriting, were the words, "Thank you for sharing her with us." Aamir felt his heart swell with emotion. In that moment, he understood the true meaning of Hira's message. Her life had not been defined by its tragic end, but by the love and kindness she had spread. And now it was his turn to carry that legacy forward. Days turned into weeks, and Aamir began volunteering regularly at the orphanage. The children's laughter slowly filled the void that had once consumed him. He found himself smiling again, rediscovering parts of himself he thought were lost forever. The guilt that had weighed so heavily on his soul began to loosen its grip, replaced by a sense of purpose. One evening, as he was organizing books in the orphanage's small library, he received a notification on his phone. It was a reminder from the old laptop's calendar, synchronized to his device. The message simply read, "Be happy, Aamir." He smiled through his tears, feeling as though Hira was gently guiding him forward. Months later, Aamir finally gathered the courage to revisit the password-protected document titled "For Aamir, Remembering." Hira's love for meaningful dates. He tried her birthday. The file opened. Inside was a heartfelt letter expressing her unwavering belief in him. She wrote about her dreams for his future, encouraging him to pursue his passion for teaching, a dream he had abandoned after her death. She ended the letter with a simple yet powerful sentence. "Your life is the story I will never get to finish, so live it beautifully for both of us." Inspired by her words, Aamir decided to follow that dream. He applied for a teaching position at a nearby school and was soon accepted. Standing in front of his first classroom, he felt a mixture of nervousness and excitement. As he looked at the eager faces of his students, he sensed Hira's presence, as though she was smiling proudly beside him. Years passed, and Aamir's life transformed in ways he could never have imagined. He became not only a dedicated teacher, but also a mentor to countless children, many of whom came from challenging backgrounds. The orphanage remained an integral part of his life, and he established a scholarship program in Hira's name to support the children's education. On the anniversary of her passing, Aamir returned to the riverside where the photograph on the laptop had been taken. The sun was setting, casting a golden glow over the water. He sat quietly, reflecting on the journey that had brought him to this moment. The pain of loss was still there, but it was no longer overwhelming. Instead, it coexisted with gratitude, love, and a profound sense of peace. As he watched the horizon, a gentle breeze brushed against his face, carrying with it a sense of familiarity. He closed his eyes and whispered a prayer for Hira, thanking her for the gift she had given him, not just through the video, but through the life she had inspired him to live. In that serene moment, Aamir realized that while fate had taken his sister away, it had also given him an unexpected path toward healing and purpose. The YouTube link that once seemed like a simple digital memory had become a bridge between grief and hope, guiding him toward a future he had once believed impossible. With a soft smile, Aamir stood up and began walking home, his heart lighter than it had been in years. He understood now that love does not end with loss. It transforms, shaping the lives of those who remain. And as he moved forward, carrying Hira's legacy within him, he knew that her story and his own would continue to inspire others for generations to come.